Stu Holden joining us now to discuss the United States winning streak, back-to-back wins, Gold Cup. Last night, 1-0 over Saudi Arabia, courtesy of Chris Richards. He stopped a potential goal. Then he had our only goal. What do you make of Chris Richards' night?
Chris Richards has been unbelievable. But first of all, before we get into the U.S., I have to tell you, boys, one of my former teammates texted me. He lives in England, and he thought it was the coolest thing ever when I came on your guys' show the other day. And he is an avid listener from the United Kingdom.
Must be a Trevor
His
Lawrence
name is
fan.
Lucas Jukovic. Yeah, we got to give him a shout out
Shout
because he's
Lucas.
like first
Shout
thing
to Lucas.
He said, first things first is my favorite show by a mile.
Yeah, we're big in the UK thanks to the Prince, so that's wonderful to hear. That is why it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Chris Richards, guys, he's been, I think, the MVP so far for the United States in this tournament. And we sat down with him actually ahead of this tournament, and he's a guy that I think will be absolutely starting next year at the World Cup, and one of the few guys that you can absolutely say about this group of players right now. But when I asked him before the tournament, my favorite thing that I loved from him was when I said, how do you see your role right now? You're playing next to a 37-year-old experienced center back. Everybody kind of says, you need somebody like that next to you. And he said, no, this tournament, I'm going to prove to everybody that I am the guy at center back. I'm going to be a big presence at the back for this U.S. men's national team. I'm going to be a leader. And you don't often see guys vocalize that externally. Maybe they're saying it internally within the team. But to have the confidence to say and project and put that pressure on himself, I've loved. You see that block right there? I mean, he saved the goal in the first half that kept the U.S. in the game. He scores a goal in the second half and really has just been a total rock. So if we're looking at guys that have maybe emerged and separated from the group right now, he's absolutely one of those guys.
Stu, the 88th minute, we get a scuffle last night. Now, Alexi Lawless said he loves seeing this. He wants to see more of it. Do you like it that things got chippy? Where you at on that?
I'm absolutely shocked to hear that Alexi will love a little scuffle and a little fight. That guy gets in a fight with the mirror. I think one of the things I love about it is that you see guys standing up for each other and showing a bit of personality and a bit of fight. And like even Sebastian Berhalter there, man, his teammate gets thrown to the deck and he's the first guy bumping chest, guys getting in their face. Like, that's what I love to see. The guys have each other's backs and that they're willing to fight for each other, pick up a yellow card in a little moment, but it does really set the tone. The other thing is, what is the Saudi Arabian coach doing? I mean, Hervé Renard is like halfway on the field trying to jump into this scrum. I thought that was a little ridiculous, so much so that like our coach Pochettino comes sprinting down the sideline and he's like, look, if you're getting in the fight, I'm getting in the fight too.
I love it.
So, you look for little moments in tournaments, and I end up being one we look back on and say, kind of a good way that this team came together and we're sticking up for each other, even though it was a minor scuffle.
Okay. Stu, how would you, I'm not asking you for a letter grade necessarily, but how would you evaluate Team USA's performance as a whole yesterday? Like 1-0 soccer games can be misleading. Sometimes you win 1-0 and you got incredibly lucky, you got thoroughly outplayed. That's not what I saw. I thought the U.S. had more chances. I thought they controlled the game for the most part, but I also didn't think it was, an A-plus performance, in any aspect. So how would you evaluate where they were after a pretty easy, dominant 5-0 performance in the first game against Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, Nick, I think that's pretty fair. I think I would be giving them a B-. The most important thing at this stage of the tournament truly is to win the matches. You survive and advance through the group stage, you get to the knockout stage, and then that's when really the tournament starts to matter. But look, we have to remember, this is a group of players that have really come together in a short period to try to make a team over the course of the next month, while also trying to manage that these guys are playing for spots at the World Cup next year. So you're individually trying to stand out. As a team, you're trying to come together. And then you play against the Saudi Arabian team that really was defending tough, a lot of numbers behind the ball. On a hot night in Austin, Texas, it was 90-odd degrees last night. I mean, they had hydration breaks in both halves. Same lineup from the first match to the second match. So it was flatter. The U.S. weren't as dynamic. They didn't create as many chances, but ultimately they found a way, and that's the most important thing. It was a set piece. It was Berhalter whips it in, Richards scores the goal, and the U.S. gets 6 points. They're top of the group, and they're going to move on to the knockout stage. And we have a game against Haiti on Sunday, which is to finish the job in the group stage, but I think you're going to see some rotation in the lineup, and then the tournament really does start after that. So B-. There's a lot to work on and I could be critical of, but I think having played in these tournaments myself, I don't want to overreact to what was the second game of the tournament.
We've outscored these teams in the 2 games 6-0, so that's impressive. I know yesterday was just 1-0. But what individual has been the most impressive to you for the United States, Stu?
You know, I think because we've already talked about him, I'm not going to say Chris Richards. I would have said Richards, but I think I'm going to signal out Malik Tillman, who is a very interesting player. You know, he's been in with the main team. He has the opportunity not just to be on the World Cup next year, but to be a starter. And I think one of the things with not having Pulisic, not having McKennie, not having Tim Weah, some of these guys that aren't there that were the bigger stars on the team, it's allowed kind of the room for Tillman to emerge as a star and step up in a way and take on responsibility and be a leader for this team. And sometimes you see players break with that pressure. I think he's thriving in that role. He had the 2 goals in the first game. I thought he was excellent in the second half last night, and I kind of love what I've seen from him. This is a great example, you know, a guy that's committing to the box, getting to the right spot in the field at the right time and finishing off plays. So I'm excited about his growth. I think he's on the precipice maybe of a big move this summer to a big club, and he's maybe just in that tier below Pulisic and McKennie, but he has the potential to be at that next level, and I think we're seeing that in this tournament. So watch out for Malik Tillman. He's a star for the future for sure.
Stu, you know what I fell in love with? Diego Luna, who we're showing he gave up the assist to. He's just like kind of littler and like stocky. He looks cool. It feels like he's making stuff happen. What is his prospects through the World Cup and this tournament? He's my favorite player. I got to pick favorites. I think he's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. You know, John Strong, who I did the game with last night, he referenced this too. We've had these characters emerge over the years with U.S. soccer and in sports in general, but you know, you become a bit of a cult hero, I think, and a lot of that is down to his, you know, he's got the blonde spiky highlights. He's stocky, he's tough. He broke his nose in his first appearance for the U.S., came back on the field, you know, provided an assist. He's got that dog in him, which Clint Dempsey says. And I think you see that is that he's got this willingness to do the dirty work. He can still provide the flair. He had 2 assists in the first match. He's got 4 assists on the U.S. On the year, and he's an exciting and intriguing player. And I think when we felt at first, all right, you know, this guy's he scored 8 goals in MLS play. He could be a part of the national team. I think what he's showing and what Pochettino loves about him as well is he's got the personality. He's willing to be himself. He's willing to try stuff that's a little bit different on the field. And that creativity sometimes can be the difference in these types of games, and that you can pull out a moment and you can be a separator at the next level.
My guy. Stu, probably about 30 seconds here. Historically, this tournament's been U.S. and Mexico. If there's another team to look out for through this phase of group stage, group players, this team you thought about going into it, who is it?
I'll give it to you in 2 seconds. It's Canada, and they're getting a little too noisy up north right now. They're talking some trash. They're trying to peacock a little bit. Their coach is an American, Jesse Marsh. He's being investigated right now for maybe breaking the rules after a suspension. So I think he's trying to turn this team into the bad boys a little bit to try to help them achieve that next level. They haven't won since 2000. They think this is their year. I hope from an American perspective that they lay down the mark and remind them who's boss.
All right, Stu, thank you very much. Stu, out the door. Give us your Game 7 NBA Finals pick.
Oh, Pacers. Halliburton's going to go off on Game 7, boys.
Wow.
Love
there
it.
we go.
Love
all right,
it,
Stu.
Stu.
Thank you.
Thank you,
See
Stu.
all this year.
Great having you as always.
Thank you, Stu.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.